Emily Buchanan reports.
Turned on, tuned in and dropped out. The heady summers of the mid-60s, when taking LSD was as part of hippie culture as flower power, heavy rock and wild hair. But all this was far from what its inventor had intended. The Swiss scientist Albert Hoffman created the mind-altering drug by accident in the spring of 1943. As he researched ergot, the poisonous fungus that grows on rye, he synthesized a new chemical called lysergic acid diethylamide. After his first dose, he felt unwell and bicycled back to his house.
The room itself and the objects in this room had quite a different form, different color, different meaning. The objects like this chair was like if he was a living object. It became moving from inside.
Hoffman and his colleagues soon realised his discovery could be valuable in psychiatry. Powick Hospital in England became the leading centre for treating neurosis, psychosis and depression with LSD. Doctors believed the drug's power to unlock the subconscious mind and release suppressed memories would offer a cure where all else had failed.
I think the original hope that psychiatrists had in the 50s and 60s with LSD was that it would be a drug that would help people with depression or help people who were very far inside of themselves and couldn't make connections and felt very isolated and alone and perhaps not inside of their skin enough. And I think there was a hope that it would open them up, tell them truths about themselves and allow them to find a new relationship to themselves.
But gradually, LSD was seized on by artists and writers who were trying to push back the boundaries of their creativity. Aldous Huxley was an early enthusiast, having written already about his experiences with mescaline. Then it spread to the young, eager to question, rebel, and explore new states of consciousness.
No, I don't regret it because it really changed my whole life. I mean, it was the most fantastic thing that has ever happened to me, and if it weren't for that, I wouldn't be here now.
As it became more widely used, tales of overdoses and bad trips tarnished its reputation. Even these children, aged 9 and 12, had taken it.
I took a very low dosage, yet it was one of the most powerful sessions I've ever had. You know, you can get very high on a low dosage.
LSD is the most dangerous drug that we have in the world today. This is not only my opinion, this is shared by many scientists and experts in the field who have testified to the fact that it is the most dangerous drug that we have.
In 1966, LSD was outlawed. Later, the young turned to other drugs like ecstasy and cocaine. LSD's medical use soon petered out too. All those psychedelic, far-out effects of LSD seem now to be a faded memory from the 1960s. The drug's no longer fashionable, and it's disappeared from the medical journals. But today, on the 100th birthday of its creator, there are calls for LSD's therapeutic potential to be re-examined. At a conference in March, the Royal College of Psychiatrists will be discussing its use in the treatment of mental illness for the first time in 30 years.
Picture yourself in a boat on a river.
But before we see more great summers of love and LSD, the drug would face many hurdles. With some users and patients believing it's left them with long-term damaging side effects, campaigners would struggle to persuade governments to lift the ban. Emily Buchanan, BBC News.